Welcome to the 2023 Western Minnesota Steam Threshers Reunion. These are just some of the many stories told by the military veterans who have served this country.
Gordy Brecken, Detroit Lakes, Minnesota. Live in the rural country. I was in the Air Force 54 to 58, and regular Air Force. I was top in my class, so I got my choice of military bases that were open that day, which happened to be Davis Mountain, too far from home, Plattsburgh, New York, too far from home, Kansas City, too dang hot, and Lincoln, Nebraska. So that's what I put down for Lincoln. And I was there from October of 54 till April of 58. And worked on B-47s, aircraft maintenance. It's in the annual book picture of my class, in fact. So I haven't bought one yet, but I'm going to when I heard that it was there. So I'm still living on the farmstead my folks brought me to in 1933. It's about 20 miles from here. I've been with ROLLAG, I think, since I got out of the Air Force in 58. And gotten more involved this last few years. I drive a shuttle wagon and so on and so forth.
My name is Adam Sweeney. I'm from Detroit Lakes. I was in the U.S. Air Force, and I've been attending the Western Minnesota Steam Threshers Reunion here in ROLLAG, Minnesota, for about 32 years. The biggest thing I would like to say is serving was one of the greatest honors of my life. And my duty station was McCord Air Force Base in Washington. I was a C-17 loadmaster, which was the opportunity of a lifetime. I got to see the world. I got to visit 20 countries in a single year, doing everything from combat support missions, hauling heavy equipment, to Aeromed evac missions, hauling injured personnel back from the battlefields to come back and be taken care of by their country. And even some fallen soldiers. Very humbling for sure. And one thing to know is even after you get out, your service never ends. And I hope to inspire others to serve someday, if that is in fact their will.
Hi, my name is Roger Black. I'm from Fertile, Minnesota. I was in Vietnam from 69. I was in the military 69 to 71, but I was in Vietnam in 69. My brother and I brought down 2 World War II military trucks that my dad and my uncle Wilbert, who was in World War II, had and used in their business, and Dave and I used them in our business, and we still have them and use. I guess I could tell the story of when I was wounded in November of 69. I was with the 1st Cav Division, which was infantry, and we were working in the Fishhook area of Vietnam. It's the area of Cambodia that sticks into Vietnam, so there was a lot of traffic from North Vietnam through Cambodia and then into Vietnam. And we worked near a village of Budok that fall, and had seen a lot of action in the previous 2 weeks to when I was wounded. So our company and platoon was down in members since they hadn't been replaced yet. So that day we were walking on a platoon size, actually a squad size recon mission. And we were walking 2 squads side by side and I was walking point, and my friend Joe Lake was walking to my right point on that line. And we tried to keep probably 50 to 75 feet apart as we walked, to keep each other in visual contact. So we knew where we were. And during that time, we came on a big log. I suppose the log probably was 3-4 feet high. It was an old fallen tree from years ago, and it was half rotted away. And Joe came to the right-hand side of that log, right end of it, and was going to, walk around the corner of it. And I didn't want to go to meet him, and I didn't want to go to the far end because it was probably couldn't see each other. So I threw my legs up over the log and had my M16, in my hand. And when I went up on the log, sitting, I didn't even get down to the other side. I got shot in this hand, and the person that shot me jumped out of a hole right at Joe Lake's feet, and he shot the Viet Cong that shot me, and I'm glad that he was able to do that before he was able to get another round off, or a burst of round towards me. And so when I was shot, I shot in the wrist, and then the bullet went through my wrist and came out, hit the gun stock, and then by that time the gun stock shattered, but it was, the bullet was spent, and it didn't go into my chest. So I fell back over the log, and everybody in our two squads then went to the ground, and so we were pinned down. It was kind of a U-shaped ambush, and we had gunfire from the front and then from the right and left side, not completely to our right and left, but kind of to the forward and right and left. And there was a guy named, can't think of his name right now. He was at the end of the squad, so he hightailed it back to get the rest of the company so they could, find us and give us supporting cover while we pulled back. But we had a second lieutenant as our leader that day, and he was pretty gun-ho, and he had one of those old World War II grease guns, they call them. It wasn't an M16, but it was a World War II type automatic weapon. And we were pinned on the ground, but he'd stick his gun up and spray the area in front of us. And every time he did that, we'd get more incoming rounds, especially rocket grenades. And the rocket grenades, they can be set the timing from the time they leave the gun until the time they go off. And of course, they had that sighted in, so those grenades were going off above us. And every time they go off, it was kind of like a shock. You could feel the shock wave, and everything would kind of went dark just for a moment, And quite a few people got fragmentation wounds. I got fragmentation wounds mostly in my leg and right arm, but they weren't real bad. But normally it would be in the two squads, there would be each squad would be 13 men probably, and we were down to like 7, 8 men in each squad. So in the ambush that day, there was 13 of us, and all 13 of us were wounded except for the guy that went back to get the rest of the company. And we were lucky in that way that we, no one was killed. And so when the company pulled up, then we, crawled back. And when we did, Joe was wounded in his eyes. I think it was rocket propelled grenades that exploded, and the dirt blew up in his face. At the time, I didn't know it. I thought that he had, was shot in the eyes and was wounded. As it turned out, it was just debris in his eyes. He didn't lose his eyesight, but it was debris in his eyes, so he couldn't see it. So we were the first two, the first ones in, being point. So we were the last ones out, and Joe couldn't see, so I told him to grab my pants leg, and he he held on my pants leg and we crawled out. And I don't know how long we were pinned down. It seemed like a long time. It probably was 15 minutes. I'm guessing. I don't know how long it was, but it seemed like a long time. But then when we got back, then they had evac helicopter come in and to take us out, and I went to a field hospital in Vietnam. Was there for 3-4 days, and basically what they did is they did cleaning the wounds and stuff like that. Then I spent 10 days in Japan at a hospital, evac hospital, and then I went to Fitzsimmons Army Hospital in Denver and spent a year and a half there. My wounds weren't that serious where I needed to spend that long, but I had a lot of trouble with infection from the wounds, and a lot of the ammunition that the Viet Cong and NVA used, they would contaminate the shells and that stuff so that you would get this infection. So I had osteomyelitis, which is an infection of the bone, and that's the reason I spent most of the time there, was trying to clear up that osteomyelitis. And so then I was discharged, and I think in the spring or summer of '71. So that's my story.
We salute these veterans and thank them for their service to this country. If you'd like to share these stories, please do so by clicking on the share button below.